Maddie, where are you, Maddie, at the moment?
Mexico.
Oh, serious?
Yeah,
What are
yeah,
you doing down there?
having a good time. We
What's
I graduated college a couple months back. My brother graduated high school, and my family never. We don't go on vacations other than to go visit other family. So this is like the first time we've gone somewhere that wasn't just like my grandparents' house and my cousins or something. So we figured it was the right time for the first out of country vacation for the family.
So this is a family vacay? Like you're going for what, a couple of weeks, a little bit of time? How long are you off?
5 days,
Yeah, nice.
five
No,
days.
nice.
It'll be a good time.
You're going to
It'll be a good time.
start your own Uncom village in Mexico. What do you say?
Oh, trust me, I would love to have a village here. It would be unbelievable. They,
Yeah.
the only inhabitants right now would be a bunch of iguanas. So
Yeah. Speaking of Uncom, we've got another new guest today, Zach Horsey. He is one of the young lads that is absolutely killing it this month in Uncom 25, and he's a really good mate of mine who I met on my journey with the 100 calls in July. Zach, it's good to have you on board, man. What's going on, dude?
Thanks for having me, Steph. Excited to be here. Nice to meet you, mate. Yeah, fucking just on my journey, Uncom journey. I'm so happy I've met you. So much has happened since I've met you. Actually, you're like the first person I reached out to in Uncom, and after that, it's all kind of just as soon as I made that first connection, I was able to just it got rid of that barrier to starting, because I felt like when I started, I didn't really jump into it fully. I kind of just had hesitancy. I fell back into my old ways of just going about it, going to work and feeling shitty. But yeah, when I made connection with you, I was able to bounce ideas inside a safe circle. And if I was trying to bounce ideas off people at work or my family, I just didn't feel like it was gonna hit, and they wouldn't be able to bounce anything back. And so, yeah. When I reached out to you, man, I was like, I'm so excited to continue and get going.
And look at that.
I think that
Go on, Maddie.
I was gonna say, I think that's one of my favorite things about Uncom, and then something like ATG that's sort of connected. It's so hard to find people that kind of, and you don't want people to think exactly like you, but me and Zach would never have connected without something like, well, first of all, Steph, but then Uncom that got all of it together. So I think that's not like an echo chamber, but I think that's a hugely valuable part of something like Uncom that Keegan's put together. Is being able to connect with people who have similar beliefs, but then have different experiences with it. Like, me and Steph have the footy connection, and Zach, I know you play the Aussie rules football, right? I was messaging Steph before. It's like, I don't necessarily understand how that works, but it is a tremendous sport to watch. It's really, really cool. But yeah, so I just wanted to butt in and say I think that's my favorite part about something like Uncom, is that just being able to connect with people from all over the world and who think sort of the same way, like you said, that don't necessarily get that maybe in your geographic location, but being able to just source around the world.
Yeah. You hit on that, the nail on the head, Matty, with exactly what you just said, because what I find is, like, this is awesome. You're in Mexico, Zach's in Melbourne, I'm in Adelaide, and we can just do this right now. We can have a chat, and sure, people are going to listen to this afterwards, which is awesome too, and it gives people an insight into exactly some of the things that we do in our day-to-day life, or we have a chat about some of our experiences as well. Like, I know that all three of us have joined the UNCOM Launch program, and we can get into that a little bit later. But Zach, I wanted to ask you. So for you, you've had some big things change over the last couple of months since the beginning of Uncommon Success. But what's been probably one or two things that you found have really, really helped progress you forwards, or progress you in terms of your own personal development? Has there been sort of a couple of things that have really helped you?
Yeah, there's been heaps of things. If I could put it down to two most important things. One, all right, I'll try and keep it to three. Well, I know that it's said a lot that the mentoring and masterminding is the number one thing, and It honestly is. Honestly, being able to get a group, like different minds, like you said, Maddie, people who think similar but not the exact same. The similarity in, for say, you and me, Steph, we were able to go straight into deep conversations before I'd never met you. I still haven't met you in real life, but I have this connection with you that I feel like is I'm already like one of your best mates. Well, you're already one of my best mates. And the best part for me in UNCOM has been the masterminding and being able to have access to people who have the similar ways of thinking. And the other part for me has been this UNCOM 25. There's a set structure for me to follow. And for me, that works really well. For some people, it might not. But for me, having this accountability thing, I've got a set structure that I need to hit every day. And because I'm being accountable to people in a group, and because I'm being accountable to them, I'm like, oh, I better start doing this reading instead of just sitting on the couch and eating another, I don't know, bit of chocolate or something. But I found that the accountability in UNCOM 25 has been huge. And then also in that there's three aspects. It's simple: smarter, richer, and athletic. Being able to just hit those three on the head. Like I don't need to overdo anything and I don't underdo anything. So the masterminding in UNCOM 25. I know probably everyone says that, but I reckon that's the best thing for me.
That's something really cool. You mentioned the structure with it, bringing kind of a set structure to something that is so, like, creating your own project is something that's so just, there's no structure to it. How and you guys touched on that's super beneficial. Has that kind of bled over to other areas of your life, or do you think that UNCOM would be as effective of a tool as it is if it was just setting goals and get there by the end of the month?
I think with UNCOM 25, I've done goal setting before, and I've just lost the drive to do them, and I've actually forgot about some of them that I've written down. But with UNCOM 25, I'm doing it every day, and it's good because it's 25 of the day, 25 days. Instead of just doing it every month, so you're just non-stop, I feel like it's going to be good to have just 5 days to kind of reset and review and then just think about what I want to do next month. The big thing for me has been persistence as well. I've always started something and then it's either gotten too hard or too easy and I've changed. And this time I've kind of just set something I want to do, and then I'm just going to do those things that I set, even if they're too easy or they're too hard. Because sometimes, like 30 minutes of juggling for me, I just don't find the time to do it. And I'm like, okay, I can't change it to 15. I'm just going to go, no, I didn't complete it. So that's holding myself accountable. And I'm just trying to be persistent in
Well, that's
in
what
my
it's all
own
about,
life.
though. Like, I found the same thing with you too, because with what you just said about setting goals, like you set goals, you write them down, but there's no meaning behind the goals. Like what UNCOM 25 allows you to do is to actually go in deeper and think about it, and it gives you the tools to be able to hit those targets and hit those goals. You talk about juggling, like where do you start with juggling? People go, I can't juggle 3 balls, 4 balls. Like Keegan says it all the time. If I gave you 5 balls and I said, here, go and juggle 5 balls, there is no way in the world that you would be able to do it. But UNCOM gives you like the structure if you go and search for it and find it, and the format to be able to go, all right, start at 2, then go 2 plus 1, then jump into the 3, then go to the 4 or whatever else there is. But it's just interesting how UNCOM has been able, like, I know it's been a massive part of my life, and it's becoming a bigger part of your life, Zach. And I know, Maddie, you're slowly getting involved now as well. Like I said, with UNCOM Launch, we can flow into that. But actually, before we do, for those who actually don't know what UNCOM 25 is, like Zach actually just said, it's an accountability app, and it's an app on steroids, I think, like an accountability app that's on steroids, because the ability to be able to connect with everyone from around the world, like you've got like a player's map of where everyone is. Then you've got the mastermind, athletic, richer, smarter. Then you also have the opportunity to win things too. It's just like it can't get any better, but it does, because then you've got all the content as well within UNCOM, and it's absolutely crazy. And I know, Matt, you haven't really been as involved with the UNCOM 25 side of things, but now joining the launch, what are you most excited about joining the launch for?
Yeah, so quick side note first. I I pretty much do the Uncom 25. Like I write the things down on my post note every day. I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot here. I just don't go into the app at the end of every day. Like I do, like I do my 5 minutes of juggling, and like I do something for my program every day, and then I just don't click the button in the app like an idiot. But I for the launch, I think the thing I'm most excited about is working with people like Keegan and Paul and getting that kind of mentorship down, but also having a group of people sort of, rather than working like vertically in a chain of mentors, working horizontally with other people who are kind of in the similar position and working in the same goal, again, with there's the vertical and there's the horizontal aspect of it. So I'm super excited to get advice from people who've already done it, but what I'm almost more excited for is getting a group of people that are committed to what they're doing and going on that journey with them. So I mean, it's like you two, and then whoever else is in it. I don't have a list or anything, but just having that group and keeping each other accountable and putting the momentum together like that, I think it's going to be an unbelievable tool for everybody involved.
Yeah, for sure. Zach, you actually had the opportunity to sit down with Paul for, what was it, an hour and a half or so? Run us through your experience, because I mean, I never met the guy before in my life, and then I remember speaking with you, and you said that the experience you had was incredible. And then I listened to Paul's chat with my wife on the UNCOM Summit, and that blew my mind. And I'm like, what happens? Like I remember you talking to me afterwards, and I said, use one word. I gave you like even less to work with. Use one word to describe the call, and I don't think you could. It was really hard for you to actually find a word. So, what was that like? What was that experience like for you?
I still, the ability for him to get me to still think about that call with him to this day, because I had it about a month ago, but I still think about the ability he gave me. He gave me the power to start thinking about my own life. He didn't answer any of my questions in a way that was normal. So the best thing for him has been, so what happens when you don't want to call with him, you probably know, and I'll just say what happens. You get to do this testing, this spiral dynamics testing, and you get to do this other one, which is your readiness for change index, and that has your mind flex score, like your flexibility score, and it's kind of hard to interpret, but you have him walk you through it. But the best one for me was probably the spiral dynamics one, because I did all the studying for it. I'm like, this is really cool, and understanding levels of human consciousness. I'm like, I can understand myself and everyone else if I can nut it down. So I jumped on the call and messaging him, because I was really looking up to him. I'm like, this guy's like nearly a billionaire, and I'm talking to him on email. And then he gave me his phone number. I'm like, oh, I got Paul's phone number. Oh, this is sick. So I called him, and he was just chilling out, and he just nutted straight down into the question. He's like, so what do you want to talk about? And I asked him about my spiral. And for me, we touched on my red and my blue. And I don't know how he can do it, but straight away he was able to look at a chart of colours and numbers and go, so you position for approval. I'm like, okay, cool. So he nutted things down into my life that I was able to think about on a deeper level, and I was able to go, I need to focus on these. So with the spiral, he's like, if you don't have a solid foundation for a house, the top part of the house is going to start. It's going to be hard to build a solid foundation. You need a solid foundation to build a solid house, and that's what my spiral indicates. I need to build a solid foundation. So when I was saying with Paul has the ability to not answer your questions, but he answers them in a way that makes you answer them yourself. The best thing is he says, don't ask how-to questions. He says, ask, how can I think about this differently? And I'm sure you've heard about that in the summit call with Paul. And I kept finding myself stuck. I'm like, I can't ask any other questions. I don't know how to ask that. And I tried asking it. And that's where his ability to get me to start answering questions for myself instead of trying to delegate it to someone else. So yeah, that's what I found so powerful with Paul's conversation. He's given me the power to fix my own life, and he did everything, but he didn't do anything.
Wow, man! Like I still haven't had the ability to that's one thing that I really want to be able to do is have that opportunity to have a chat with Paul. And for those who don't know because there's lots of Pauls around the world, but Paul Council is who we're talking about. And I was really open to his stuff when I first started UNCOM. And Keegs had given me, actually as part of UNCOM, it was all the EMC stuff was all on there, the Elite Money Club, and I came in on the tail end of that. And I remember when I went up to Queensland for the Sunshine Coast, the Become Uncommon event in the Sunshine Coast back in June. I remember having a chat with a couple of the boys up there who had done EMC and Gen Freedom as well. And they just spoke so highly of Paul. Like every single one of them had the utmost respect for Paul and for everything that he has done. And that's something that I'm just so pumped about and pumped to be a part of. Like, I don't know what time it's going to be for you, Matt, to jump onto those live calls that he's doing at 12:30 in Tasmania time. But it looks like you're going to have to get up a little bit earlier.
Whenever it is, I'll be there. I'll be there. I remember Keegan was my foray into UNCOM before I knew Steph, and I remember I'd talk to Keegan like fairly often, and he would like, oh yeah, Paul was saying this, and I was like, who the hell is Paul? And it took me a long time to actually go in and be like, oh, I mean, this guy really does know what he's talking about, and he's done it. And at first I kind of took that for granted, and then slowly I've been like, okay, I need to listen to this more and more, and then it's kind of accumulated into me taking the leap with Launch. And then, I mean, talking to people like Graham Tuttle, who went through EMC 1 and spoke unbelievably high things of it. And that's my foray into it, kind of why I jumped into it.
Yeah. What have you thought about your like, I don't know, because you're not on the Discord, or you haven't been active on the Discord, the UNCOM Discord, Matty. Zach, you have. But have you thought about a little bit of what you want your product to be, Matty, and where you sort of see yourself going? Like, you have done an exceptional job. I think you should just do social media marketing or something like that. But have you thought? I know that's not something that you want to do, but have you thought about what you see yourself doing in terms of product development, in terms of where you're going? Maybe even potentially what you're going to be offering to people. Have you had to think about that at all before jumping into UNCOM Launch?
Yeah, there was this really cool, and I feel like every time we hop on a podcast, I talk about something from Alex Hormozy, and I feel like I'm just copying his thing. But he had this really interesting clip, and it was something like, you don't have to hop in and be the biggest business owner and investor in the world. Like, if you're the best plumber on the east side of Tennessee or something, like, just start off as a plumber and make money like that, and then you can start teaching other plumbers, and then once you've helped other plumbers, you can apply that to other businesses, and soon enough you're a business investor, expert on business. And for me, I think that my skill set of being the best plumber in Tennessee is something along the lines of being able to help. If I really niche it down, it's footballers. In America, it's soccer, but for you, if it's footballers and kind of ankle and foot health, because that was me, a year ago, and any time beyond that was a footy player that had ankles that were made of glass and couldn't stay on the field. So I think that's where I drill down into and learn all the lessons on a micro level that you can then expand into a macro, and then wherever that takes me, whatever. But as long as I can help a couple people with that, I think that's where I want to dig into.
So you got access to Graham as well. Like, Graham has done an exceptional job with a lot of the things that he does on his socials. The Barefoot Sprinter, that's his Instagram name, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Barefoot Sprinter, I think.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's great. Yeah,
listening to a lot of I don't know whether both of you have gained access to the EMC stuff from beforehand, but like just going through, or actually you have access to it now being an UNCOM Launch, but you should check out a lot of the old things within EMC 1.0 because it's all sectioned out, and you can just go through and listen to all the lectures. And I mean, for me and Zach, we've had this conversation many times about like me and reading just do not go hand in hand. Like we do not see eye to eye at all. But when I listen to stuff, it's just like, yeah, I am on big time, which is why I didn't buy Alex Hormozy's hardcover book. I bought it on Audible so I can listen to it for the next 3.5, 4 hours or whatever it is. But Zach, with you, like UNCOM launch, you've gone the steps of jumping into UNCOM, reaching out to me. Like your progress over the last month and a half to 2 months has reminded me a lot of my own, where you're starting to really find out a little bit more about yourself and a little bit more about exactly what you want. Because you, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were doing osteo and then you stopped going to uni and like, no, this is just not working for me anymore. What led you to making those decisions?
Well, the simple answer, I just had a change of value and I just was following my passion. Osteo just wasn't hitting my passion anymore. There was a few things I was mainly diving into at the start, and that was the money stuff and finding out what I believe to be the truth about how the money system's set up, and going to uni, paying for a course that wasn't lighting me up. I'm like, this isn't what I want to do right now. So I changed my values. I'm like, I want to start creating my own financial freedom. That's been a goal. It's probably a deeply better goal for most people. And I want to create freedom for myself in all areas of life. So I said, I'm going to put on hold this studying because it's taking up so much of my time for things that aren't actually lighting me up. And I made the decision I'm going to put it on hold. I'm going to focus on all the things that are exciting me, like Paul's stuff, UNCOM, all the aspects of UNCOM. So I was doing osteo and quit that, focusing on UNCOM, and I'm just following my passions. And the reason I did that is because I had values changed. My values changed to become more creating freedom for myself, and I feel like the best way for me to do that is to focus my time and energy on this.
Yeah, epic.
Yeah, so forgive my ignorance, but so what do you have, Zach, do you have a plan for what you want to get out of launch, or what kind of you're going to pursue, or is that something that you're going to use launch to figure out exactly how you're going to get on that path?
Yeah, well, we were talking about Alex Hormozy, and he's come into my sphere recently, and he's quickly changed a lot of my self-living beliefs. For example, doing a talk that is going to get publicized would have frightened the shit out of me 3 weeks ago, and I wouldn't have done it. I just would have said, no, it's not what I want to do. But I watched the first video I watched of him. He was talking about his life and how he came to be where he is, and he figured out he had a dad that wanted him to do such and such, and he made the decision that he's like, so we're all going to die one day. And he was talking about legacy, and he was talking about he doesn't know his great-great-great-grandpa. So if it's been that recent and he still doesn't know him, it's like what you do now is not making that much of a difference in the grand scheme of things. So stop putting so much pressure on yourself and stop getting in your own way. And just realize that this was a great quote that has stuck with me at the moment, is at 20, you care what people think of you. And at 40, you don't care what people think of you. And at 60, you realize no one really cared in the first place. So that's put into perspective that I'm worrying about things I don't need to worry about. I'm creating them in my own mind. So yeah, I think does that answer the question? I think I completely went off the question.
A little bit, but awesome insight. So what's your, so I mean, I kind of drilled it in with Steph's question. What's your aim with launch? What do you want to get out of it? Like if you know that, I mean, if not, like there's no problem with not knowing. From what I understand, it's going to be a fantastic opportunity to discover things, but it's also an opportunity to grow things. So where are you with that?
Yeah, with launch, I don't have an idea what I'm going to do. I really just jumped into it because Keegan sort of reached out and asked me about it, and the thing it's put me onto it, I'm like, this is the next step in my growth to get where I want to be. So when I'm working and I realize that I'm spending my time to get money, I'm like, I need to do something else if I want to create the life I want. And I need to start making a product. I need to start learning about sales. I need to start just getting over my fear of sales, creating things, and start to potentially sell something that someone might buy from me, so I don't have to spend my time doing laboring or things that is not it's not scalable, or it's not it's not an infinite growth. Yeah, you sell your knowledge instead of selling your time. That's what Paul's
yeah, that's another
touched on.
Hormozy kind of thing. I don't know if you saw that video. He was talking about, it's like, well, how good is the business opportunity you're in currently? He's like, well, if I work at Smoothie King, I don't know if you guys have Smoothie King on Australia, but it's pretty self-explanatory. They make smoothies. So it's like, you work at Smoothie King, you're not going to be able to scale that. You are a manager at Smoothie King, probably not going to be able to scale that. You own a Smoothie King franchise, now you might be able to scale that. You own Smoothie King, then you can take that all over the world. So it's like, how can you find yourself in a place that you can scale to whatever level you want to, whether that's taking over the world or just being free?
Yeah, I one thing that Zach just said there, and following on from what you're talking about, Maddie, as well, previously, is the knowledge, selling knowledge instead of your time. Paul, it was Keegs, said that, like, let's just say, for example, you got a silver coin, like, that thing is only valuable to you when you hold possession of it. So you will lose that value once you pass it on to someone else. But knowledge, like, I can give knowledge to yourself, Matt, or knowledge to yourself, Zach, or anyone else. And it's something that you're doing really, really well at the moment, Matt, on your socials, is just giving knowledge out to people, because you can do that. Like, you offer your knowledge to people. And Hormozy talks about it a lot. It's like, your free stuff should be better than your paid stuff. And it's like, because it generates not only does it generate content, but then also it generates trust, and it generates the ability for people to come in and want to get involved with your own sort of product. But where I'm going with this is, you've got like the selling for time instead of selling for knowledge. It's like, I can hold on to that knowledge still. Whereas if I've got the diamond, for example, or the silver coin, once I lose that, that's it, it's gone. But having knowledge and being able to appreciate that knowledge and share it with the rest of the world, so you always have that, and people can take that however they want. It's not necessarily going to be like, oh, that's it, it's just that and nothing else, So like, or you're going to take this and then I'm not going to have it anymore. The knowledge can be passed down, which is why books and listening to podcasts and reading and all that kind of stuff is so valuable and so important to me now in my later stages of life. I mean, you young bucks, you guys are lucky you're in this situation at the moment. I mean, I would speak about it a lot with people, where it was, so like right now we've got this opportunity where we're connecting with each other, and a lot of the times people go, well, imagine what it would be like if we were younger and we had this. And it's like, it's a bit of a Step Brothers quote, even better, like, we got it when we're 40 sort of thing, but like, I probably wouldn't have appreciated it that much when I was younger, but it's great to see that you two being, I'm not saying that you guys are significantly younger than me, or I'm significantly older, but I am a little bit more aged in comparison to the both of you. But anyway, what I'm getting at is to have the ability to be part of something like this, regardless of where you are in your life, is freaking awesome. And it's like, it's incredible to have these opportunities. Like Maddie, I've been speaking about it with a lot of people. We started from an Instagram live call 17 weeks ago. It was in March sometime. And like,
right around, yeah.
Yeah. And to be able to be in that position where we're in right now, where we're doing this sort of stuff, we're getting people from all corners of the globe to have a chat with them. It blows my mind. And it's like, if it's this good now, imagine what it could be like in 6 months. Imagine what it could be like in 12 months, in 2 years, in 5 years. It's pretty incredible. That's just a little bit of a tangent I went on, because it's been awesome.
Yeah, that's first of all, every time we talk, Steph, you talk like you're like 60, man. Like, we're not that. we're pretty close in age. when you really think about it. But that's one of my favorite quotes ever was, and I promise this is the last time I'll talk about Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
But it was like you can tell how wealthy somebody is by how big their time horizon they speak about is especially when it comes to money. It's like, I need money today. Like, you're broke. Like, if you need money today, you need money today. You don't have any money. You need money in a week, so you still probably don't have. And then a month, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. If you're thinking in 30-year time horizons, maybe it's a little much, but that just totally shifted my way of thinking about things. It was like, how many followers can I get? Be like, man, how cool would it be if I had 10,000 followers by next week? Well, that's such a horrible mindset. It's like, let's think about what can I do with this in 3 years. That opens you up to so many more possibilities. Like, work slowly in the macro and work ridiculously fast in the micro. There's that kind of shift for me was really big, and it made a big difference.
Yeah, I can resonate with that big time. Like, when I started Uncom, there was a lot of pressure on me to get shit done. Like, you got to get it done now. It has to be done now, because if it's not done now, that's it. It's over. Like, you're going to be living on the street. And it's like, well, no, you won't. But it's things that it's like playing around inside your head and your subconscious, where, like Zach was talking about before, having the chat with Paul, and to have someone come into your life and know so much about you just by looking at a score, a spiral dynamic score, and go like, so this is where you struggle right now in life. And it's just like, well, yeah, shit. How do you know that? How did you figure that out? And obviously he's done a really, really good job at being able to read spiral dynamics, and having that mind flexibility is so important. So then that way you have the ability to be flexible in particular situations. It's not like it's set, like a mind set. It's just set in that one thing, this one sphere, or whatever you want to call it. It's the flexibility to be able to go outside that sphere or outside that box, and to actually explore new opportunities, encounter that resistance, be able to overcome that resistance or overcome those challenges. Zach, you said it again, man. Like, there is no way. We spoke yesterday, and you're like, oh man, I don't know about jumping on. I'm not sure. And 30 seconds beforehand, you're like, man, I love just going into resistance and like dealing with, all the challenges and, just being able to overcome the resistance. And it's like, dude, you just said you want to do this, like, without saying you wanted to do it. It's like, yeah, fair enough. All right, cool. We'll do it.
Yeah, you called me up on that. Exactly. It's so easy to say, oh yeah, I love discomfort, but then you get into situations that are uncomfortable, and it's always the same feeling. It's uncomfortable, and you've got to just have the ability to push through it. And yeah, what you said as well, Matty, about the time horizon thing, I love that at the moment. I've heard it a couple times, and it really makes me think of Uncom 25. So you got your macro, you're thinking in a 25-day block or month block, but then you're working ridiculously fast in the micro. So you're trying to do all these Mars, and then you're only just thinking about your 25. Like, what have I accomplished in 25 days? Month. And then you can also have your yearly, and then you can have your 5 yearly, 10 yearly, 30 years sort of goals or time horizons. So yeah, I just wanted to say I love that.
It was kind of a purposefully tough question for you, Zach. So what do you think has been more beneficial for you in your Uncom journey so far? The Uncom 25 structure, or the kind of Uncom centered chats with people that you had that probably wouldn't happen just sticking within your friend group, family, geographic location? Which of those do you think has been more beneficial for you?
I'd have to say the chats with other people has been more beneficial so far, because I'm talking about Uncom 25 like I've done it for years, but this is my the second time actually involved in it. But the chats, and I'll just use Steph again. I was struggling to get momentum, and I was struggling to feel like I was part of this group. And as soon as I made one connection with Steph, like a close connection, that opened up all the new doors to the rest of UNCOM, and it made me feel much more inclined to complete things like UNCOM 25, to post into the Discord chat, to do things that don't seem big, but to me, I know they were big. Like if I made my introduction video, that was like a big thing, and I had a lot of discomfort and fear towards putting myself on a Telegram chat, and I don't know any of these people, and yeah, so being able to have a connection with someone is more than
how uncomfortable was
so
that to just send in the introduction video to a group of, I don't know, a couple hundred random people around the globe?
Massive. It's like me. It's a video of me just saying, "I'm Zach. I'm 21, and I'm looking forward to meeting you all." Just saying that was something huge, and it makes me seem like I'm just it shows my insecurity, but being able to do that has led on to so much more. Like I'm involved in another group that had me having to dance in front of a camera for a minute and sending that to another group of boys. So doing things, it compounds.
Yeah,
it gets easier.
That's something I've noticed in UNCOM. So some of the people that have been around in UNCOM for a long time are just sort of fearless. Like I had one of the talks on the summit, and Keegan asked me to, and it was awesome. And I just had people like just reach out to me afterwards, just like, hey, like that was awesome, let's talk. And I was like, wow, I'm moving towards that. But I mean, a couple months ago, I would never have had the courage to like listen to somebody talk on a summit and then be like, hey, let's connect. And I super respect, and I wanted to connect with them too. It was just, that for me is something that's super, super uncomfortable in the same way that sending the introduction video is. And I mean, I guess that's just kind of like an example of how I think UNCOM can kind of shift the way that you think into, yeah, it's uncomfortable, but like, what's more uncomfortable, having somebody not respond to you, or having the really high chance that somebody's like, yeah, sure, let's connect, and then you can mastermind with them, and you guys can talk through things. It's that shift in mindset is super important, I think.
The ability to be able to actually have the opportunity to surround yourself with people that want to change, because like people are always talking about changing. Like, I got to stop eating that way, or I got to stop doing that. And it's like, no, these people who are part of Uncommon Success, a very big majority of them actually want to see change. And then that's how it reflects on us as individuals, because we're putting ourselves in that environment. And because the environment is so catered towards excellence and excelling and change and wanting to do better and personally develop yourself, the potential for you is like, it's 10x almost instantly, because like you jump into the like you jump into the actual Uncom space, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, like this is where I am now. And you surround yourself with these people, and sure, it's overwhelming, sure, it's pretty full on in the same light that it's actually an incredible process for you to be able to develop yourself in the same light too. But when you encounter the resistance, like the resistance is what is going to help you change. Once you've dealt with that resistance, it doesn't mean that it's going to get easier. If anything, just the challenges just become harder. But if you were to go and do that when you were actually at the stages where you were at beforehand, like it's not gonna work. You're just gonna go up and you're gonna fail straight away and come back down, or you're not gonna be able to make it. So it's like you said, Maddie. I really love how you're taking that approach with the micros and the macros, like taking those micro steps, those small little steps, because eventually, once you've taken those small little steps, you can then see how it's applying to your macro, to your big world picture. So it's really interesting. I love that analogy.
Yeah, if me and Zach make a little bit of benefit every day, by the time we're old like Steph, we'll be billionaires.
Man, all right. I see.
I had to stick that. You asked for that one. I had to stick that in.
You got a couple of years to go, Maddie. A couple of years to go, you two. Anyway,
yeah.
That's 40 minutes. We've been going a little bit over the last couple of months, but still really, really exciting to have the opportunity to speak again. Maddie. And Zach, thank you so much for joining us. Zach, you're not, from my understanding anyway, you're not very social media inclined. But if people do want to find you, whereabouts can they find you?
No, just jump on Instagram, Zach Horsey, just ZAC Horsey. I'm not much inclined to posting stuff on social media, but I think in the future I'll be able to create maybe some content on there, or maybe another platform. So Instagram.
Well, that's easy enough.
You want to say,
Maddie,
hey.
where can they find you?
Oh yeah, I'm as usual at Score Performance, SKAAR Performance on all of the fun places: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Yeah, reach out. What about you, Steph?
Coach Cali with the 3 eyes, Instagram. After the chat that we had with last week, Brian, that's right. I'm not so sure about TikTok anymore. No. I'm on TikTok though, too, on YouTube as well, but pretty active on Instagram. And the S&C podcast has been booming as of late. We've got on Spotify, we're getting some views, we're getting some likes, we're getting some followers, which is awesome. So please like, share, subscribe. We're on YouTube too with the S&C podcast. So Matt does all the behind the scenes stuff. I just come on and talk. Matt just does all the the rest of it because he's a young buck, and they can deal with all the social media stuff.
Steph's too old to use a computer.
Exactly right. See, there you go. Anyway, gentlemen, let's finish up there.
Awesome. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Zach, I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we can all talk again soon.
For sure.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.